Religion, psychology, which one? Which one is the greater heap of bullshit? Seriously. They're seemingly, to me, kind of two variations of the same sort of thing in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, modern psychology is a kind of religion and is a kind of heap of bullshit. And Sigmund Freud is this main prophet of this religion. And it is. And it's been recognized even from the time it began. People have recognized for decades and decades, upwards of a century, there have been people looking at the worship of Freud, the adulation of Sigmund Freud, and everything he said is perfect and unquestionable as a form of a religion that people just swallow. People say, oh, well, they must know, they're the experts, they must know what they're talking about, and so people take these courses in psychiatry and psychology, and they're taught, this is what Freud said, so this is true. Or whoever, or this is what the disciples of Freud's. Very much, so similar. The whole concept of Sigmund Freud as the prophet and these other students of his or people who studied his stuff, whether direct students or just people who were as disciples of Freud, and it's like a religion. So here's this fucking article on AOL. Why telling my kid not to hit is completely useless, by so-and-so, author of The Secret Lives of Boys, Inside the Raw Emotional World of Male Teens. And if you're gonna write a fucking book, do you really need the whole title of the book to be a fucking sentence in itself? The Secret Lives of Boys, that's 5 words. Inside the Raw Emotional World, that's 10 words of 13 words. Do you really need a 13-word title? Anyhow, it's just a woman who looks like she's in her 30s writing this article about her son, who's 6 years old, goes around beating up other kids at school, at kindergarten. And she describes it. She describes what a little brat he is. And now they've been called into the principal of the school or something. Got a lot of emotional disturbance on his school form. I'll really quickly find it. I offer by a way of quick explanation, because if I've learned anything in life, it's that parents whose kids your son whacks respond. It's that parents whose kids your son whacks respond best when you lay all of your kids' challenges out on the table, even if it doesn't make anything any better. So what she's doing is she's using tactics. She's saying, "Oh, I came into a situation where I was being confronted by the parents of kids that my kid is hitting, and I'm going to play tactics. I'm going to come up with strategies to pacify them. It's like when my dogs bark at the postman, I wag a finger and order them to bed, but I know that it's pointless. 8 years of obedience training and nothing has stuck. Still, I've got to do something to prove I'm not one of those lazy, remorseless pet owners." Same goes when you're parenting a kid with anger management issues. Well, the question is, why does this fucking kid have anger management issues? I think maybe it's possible. It's just possible that his mother's a kind of a stupid bitch. And his anger management issues, I don't know. I knew it wasn't my fault that Boaz was going on a hitting rampage, but it was a little my fault because I had him right. How does she know it's not her fault? She is dismissing responsibility. I'm responsible for his behavior. No, that's true. Legally, you are. When you decide to have a kid, you're essentially signing up to be somebody's handler. Your kid, blah, 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 biddity boo, biddity boo, biddity boo. He's got poor coping skills, unpredictable mood swings, and high anxiety, I further informed the boy's mom. as if this wasn't obvious, were really trying. This woman, this mother, writing this article, just sounds really insincere. She's saying how, well, you know, the dog barks at the postman. You have to make a pretense of disciplining the dog, even though you know it's useless. And she's using the same logic with her fucking kid. The problem is, there's a little bit of a difference between a fucking barking dog and a fucking 6-year-old kid. A human child who is capable of being taught things, capable of learning and listening and hearing language and understanding logic that is presented to them. It's a little bit of a difference than talking about disciplining a fucking barking dog. And then she goes on to describe how she treated the kid. On each of these 3 days, we had an hour or two to kill before having to return to school and fetch Boaz's little sister, also a student. One day we went shopping at Trader Joe's. Another day I let him pick out a plastic pirate sword at the dollar store. And on the third day, his psychiatrist, the talking doctor we call her. Why does this fucking kid have a fucking psychiatrist? And the fact that he does have a fucking psychiatrist at 6 years old, and he's fucking acting out, he clearly, the fucking psychiatry thing isn't helping him. It's probably making him worse. He's probably lashing out because he's fucking 6 years old and has to go to a fucking doctor, psychiatrist, talking doctor at fucking 6 years old. Maybe that's what he's lashing out about. I could have spent this time teaching Boaz that hitting is wrong, but I didn't feel like it. What a stupid bitch. Anyhow, the whole thing is it's all about this, psychiatry and psychology, and I'm writing psychological books about the psychology of teenage male teens, but she hasn't got a fucking clue how to raise a fucking 6-year-old. And it strikes me that the whole fucking, it's bullshit. It's just a huge fucking pile of bullshit that somebody like this goes to fucking college and takes a course of psychiatry and psychology, and I'm gonna write some books about it and boo and sell my fucking books, and that will, and everything is according to numbers. Everything is just follow all the stuff that you learn about fucking Freud and all the rest of that bullshit. And then go out and write some more articles and write some more books and blah, blah, blah. And then it makes me think about, what's-the-face? Scientology. Ooh, Scientologists are crazy because they don't believe in psychiatry. Well, Scientology is a crazy religion. It's a crazy cult. It's a crazy religion, and they don't believe in psychiatry. Well, it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Which one's really fucking worse? Your religion or your psychiatry? Which one is a bigger heap of bullshit? How much different really are they? Going around medicating your fucking 6-year-old kids? Sending them to fucking psychiatrists? Which one really is a bigger heap of bullshit? Freudian psychiatry? Scientology? Christianity? I'm not convinced that Scientology is any worse than the others. And in some ways, probably a little bit better. The Scientology skepticism about psychiatry is not something that I can really take issue with. I think we need more skepticism of this heap of bullshit. And less, unquestioning swallowing of this whole religion of psychiatry and psychology, and this whole fucking adoration and worship of the prophet Sigmund and all his fucking disciples. It's a fucking religion in itself.